Hello friends, I'm Colonel Chehil, and in this video we will look at a very interesting and an important topic on current affairs that may be asked from you during your SSB interview, and the topic is the strategic significance of Cocos Islands. Now Cocos Islands is an archipelago or a chain of 17 islands that exist in the Bay of Bengal. The total size is about 21.5 square kilometers, and it is broadly split into two parts, the Little Cocos and the Larger Cocos. The Cocos Islands are about 55 kilometers to the north of the Indian Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and it dominates the very important choke point, that is the Strait of Malacca, which connects the Indian Ocean with the Pacific Ocean. Now these islands, they belong to Myanmar, and in the year 1994 Myanmar had leased out these islands to China, and China had developed their surveillance and monitoring facilities on this island, and it is reported that they have been carrying out surveillance and monitoring our defense activities, especially the missile testing etc. that takes place off the shore of Odisha, Balasore. So they have been monitoring our activities as well. Now Myanmar leased out these islands very recently or extended this lease for 30 more years to China. This happened about 3 to 4 days back. The strategic significance of this is that China suffers from what the experts call it the Malacca dilemma. This dilemma is that since on both these flanks, on the western flank is the Indian Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and to the eastern flank of the Strait of Malacca is the Changi Naval Base of US in Singapore. So these two navies, they dominate the Malacca Strait, and in case of an eventuality of a war, there is a blockade of the Malacca Strait. China's 80% trade from Europe, Africa as well as Middle East passes through this narrow strait, as also the important energy needs are met by China through the Strait of Malacca. So in case of a blockade, naturally China's supply routes will be cut, and therefore it has been preparing a string of outposts. The first one being the Djibouti port on the eastern coast of Africa. Then it has developed the Gwadar port in Baluchistan, Pakistan. Thereafter, the Hambantota port in Sri Lanka has been taken on a 99 years lease by China and developed it. And now the Cocos Island happened to be the last string in this pearl of strings which China is trying to put around India's neck and choke it. Now the reason why Myanmar has leased out the islands to China is basically because in the year 2021, when there was a coup in Myanmar and the military junta took over the regime, there was a global backlash, and most of the West stopped trading with Myanmar. So there were trading embargoes and sanctions imposed on Myanmar. China was the only country that was engaged in trade, and they helped Myanmar to build the infrastructure there. The total bilateral trade is to the tune of $19 billion, and for that reason Myanmar naturally wants the support of China, and therefore it has leased out these islands. Also an important reason is that there has been a territorial dispute between India and Myanmar regarding the Little Cocos Islands, which India has been claiming, but now after it has leased out these islands to China, naturally it in a way stamps the approval of the globe that these islands, they belong to Myanmar, and naturally now India will have to directly deal with China if at all it has an issue with respect to the territorial sovereignty of the Little Cocos Islands. So the basic issue with that is going to come up is that with the Chinese able to develop the Cocos Islands, it is going to serve as an important naval base for them if that upgrades the ports etc. There is already some facilities that exist like a airstrip etc. So if this is improved, it is seen that the Cocos Islands will be something like an unsinkable aircraft carrier for China. So this is, we are all aware, the latest trends where it is not the occupation of territory, but it is the force projection by various countries that is of greater significance in today's warfare, so that it is able to monitor and it is able to interdict movement of the sea lanes, the trade routes. So that becomes very important for China to sit in this, and it has the naval the Changi base of US in Singapore, and the Indian Andaman and Nicobar Islands within its striking range. So this is how the Cocos Islands has assumed great significance for us, and therefore India will have to modernize and develop its naval assets to counter this threat, as also ensure that we have better regional alliances so that we are able to counter the threat of China in the Indian Ocean region. Thank you very much.